Peace to the kings and queens. It's your brother Tim Gray with another episode of the Melanated Medicine Podcast. And I'm here today with one of my friends, one of my brothers, Mr. Carlos. We call him Los. Los, what's up, champ? How you doing today?
What's going on, family? How are you?
Well, I'm actually cool. Hold on. Let me make sure I give proper entrances because, you know, I'm extra. It's all hell.
That's why you can't give adults toys.
I paid for it. So here we go. Air horns and applause. All right. Yeah. I like the way that feels. Yeah, that's right. And we do have a live studio audience. So sometimes you may hear things in the background because we allow people to talk about things and laugh out loud. So, Los, how are you? Welcome back, because he is an original member of the original podcast, which is only on Spotify. You can go to Melanated Medicine and listen to it. And we brought him back because our friendship has evolved a bit. And a little bit. But give people an understanding of who you are and what you're up to these days.
I hate this, but because I do a lot of things and I never know.
And you also don't do things while like getting close to the microphone so people can hear you.
I'm close enough to the mic. I see my levels. Don't at me. What do I do? I am a fitness professional. Have been for a really long time. Have been doing wellness focused, holistic sort of focused fitness for a while now. I've also, for around the same amount of time that I've been in fitness, I've also been in the world of psychology, have been a professor.
Hold on. Don't be skating past that right quick. I want you to understand how sometimes it is important for your friends to fan your flame. All right. So he gave you all of the things that you kind of expect when you see people in health and fitness in regards to I'm a trainer, I'm a this, that, and the fourth. And the latter aspect of what he actually mentioned was the fact that he is a college professor in psychology.
I mean,
hold on. I'm not done yet.
That's not even the beginning of the list.
Oh, well, hold on. Let us have a seat. Brother, you have the floor.
I'm just saying, if you really want to know.
I want to know, man. People don't know who you are. They just see that you look like Black Jesus, as they call it.
I'm not doing this. Don't laugh, Larry, because this thing will get worse.
It's consistent. We've been calling him this for a long period of time.
It's going to get worse, y'all. Don't laugh. None of y'all out there laughing. Don't laugh. So, it's been a college professor for around the same amount of time. Decided about 7 or 8 years ago to try to kind of figure out how to bring those two spaces together.
Okay.
So started actually using my big brain to kind of validate some of the things that I was seeing in fitness spaces. Did a little bit of research around, wellness within fitness spaces and sort of who felt seen in those spaces and who didn't feel seen. Which kind of transitioned a lot of my work into more inclusive kind of focused fitness work. If you all remember 2020 when
I was there,
we were posting black boxes and having to tell people that we weren't racist.
Oh man, how quickly we forget.
Fun times. No, we didn't forget because we're back there. But moving on. During that time, right, there was, and it was sort of happening before that, right? There was a very intentional and sort of bubbling conversation around fitness, around like, why are so many of us uncomfortable in fitness spaces? So that for me became an opportunity to, and I say this humbly, like put myself in a position where like no one understands these two sort of ends of that spectrum more than I do, right? They don't understand, like I've been in every possible fitness space, right? From the low budget, and I won't say no names, to super high end, like medically focused, like I was saving lives in one of my fitness jobs. On some real shit. Like, so taking all of that and realizing that like I was uniquely positioned as someone who understands psychology as a space, understands from my own experience how you can create culture around fitness. Right? Like, I'll keep this short, but like me, my boy Paul, we were teaching the sports conditioning class in Harlem. That turned into an 8-year cohort or so of folks that were like,
are we talking Paul, a bike rider Paul?
Yeah.
Chef Paul?
Yeah.
You
know what? I'm not going to... Chef Paul. No, Paul can cook great.
Yeah, he can.
Paul knows why I'm joking right now.
Yeah.
But it dawned on me from that, right? That like, because we were like, dude, like we were working out together, hanging out together, playing different sports together. Like it was it almost felt like college, not for nothing.
That's kind of dope.
Right. And like for me, sort of leaving that and navigating the fitness world where there weren't a lot of us, in positions of engagement or authority, it started to kind of, to be brutally honest, it started to annoy me. Right, because when you look at a lot of the things that our community deals with, right? You know what I mean by our.
Yeah.
Right, whether it's cardiovascular disease,
Yep.
right? Whether
Number
it's
one.
all these like sort of very wellness specific kind of diseases, but in a lot of these fitness spaces, you don't feel seen, you don't feel appreciated. You come in and like all of the advertisements look a very specific way. All of the clothes fit a
certain
specific way,
yeah.
right? Like, and we don't think about those things. So
These, I looked at them as small microaggressions.
we don't. So you know what's cute? We don't do micro anymore. Don't we? I miss microaggressions.
It's kind of blatant, but I'm just saying, from walking into places that I've like, that's one of the reasons why I started the sweat party.
That's true.
It's to make sure that we walk into anything that we do full chest and full majesty is something that we have reluctantly done because to not offend or unnerve the people who own, operate, or fund something. And as a former employee of a very big fitness chain, they're not paying me to mention their names.
Nope.
I asked a question once, and this is to your point, and I want you to get back to that. The question was, when I threw the sweat party one time, I had the owner of the management of that particular gym come to me afterwards, and one of our other guests who's going to be on today, Mr. Scott Bernhardt, we did the sweat party, and I had all of the trainers from that said gym come to the party. They gave me like discount cards to give to people as a form of promotion to get them to come to the gym. A week later, their number one trainer decided to leave and open up his own gym. They shifted all of their energy to anyone who was now associated to that person who left, and then all of his clients upped and left. I was then throwing a sweat party class at his new facility, so I became a part of the target. To the fact that they wanted to fire me because they said I own and operate something that can be a competing thing that goes against my management contract. And my response was, you do realize I have pictures and video of all of your trainers that said thing prior to you having this, right?
Fitness is cute. Right? Fitness is cute in the sense of and I'll say this because I actually want to get to some of the stuff that I'm doing now. But
okay.
Like, let's be clear. I started teaching fitness classes without a certification or being employed by this organization. Again, I was teaching classes at this facility before I had not only a certification.
I'm just gonna let those crickets just keep going real quick. Yeah.
But before I was hired by the organization. So let's just put that out there. But
understood.
All that to say, right? I
Right.
think for me, it was one of those moments where I was like, you can't act like you don't know what you know, see what you see.
Okay.
And also acknowledge that you are uniquely positioned to communicate about this in a way that's going to be received across the spectrum, right? Because I'm going to come with data,
Yeah.
but I'm also going to make that data make sense, right?
Okay.
I'm going to come with facts, but I'm not going to ignore your feelings, right? And again, those are two different things that we all need to intentionally sort of make sure we're separating. Facts and feelings are not the same
They're
thing.
definitely not the same. We
We need to start putting those into separate categories.
chuck it in a bucket.
Amen. So transition to the last couple of years, I want to say since the pandemic, I've been actually working with this organization called the National Fellowship for Black and Latino Male Educators that I can plug because they pay me.
And because it's a good process.
And I'm actually doing a lot of really dope work with male educators of color around social emotional intelligence, around figuring out how to navigate education spaces that are very murky right now. And that led to me, the organization that I got my coaching certification from actually, and I'm still kind of humbled by it, asked me to come back and become part of their faculty. So I'm kind of shifting into the
teaching space,
coaching, in a much more intentional kind of way, and just honestly seeing the power of coaching with the men that I'm working with, who like a lot of times go into those conversations trying to figure out why they're there. Like literally, I can think of off the top of my head 4 of my guys that I couldn't get on a call. Right? Because you're like, what is this? Imagine we explain all of this ahead of time, and once they're on that call,
then it kind of opens up.
Oh, we could do this here. Like, we could talk about my stuff. And I was like, yeah, I don't care about work stuff if your stuff isn't where it needs to be.
Right.
Right. And like, even the framing device that we use, a 5-square, like, is very intentional. Like, we're going to figure out your stuff before we even, like, it doesn't matter what your relationship management is if you have no self-confidence, if you are constantly telling yourself you're not worthy, right? Like, that's going to impact how you show up.
For sure.
So unpacking a lot of that has been, it's been hella rewarding, just seeing like folks that initially told me like, I don't deserve to be in this space, or I don't deserve coaching, leaving that space like, okay, I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Wow.
So that's where a lot of this journey, I also do a lot of stuff with like nature diversity with this organization called Camping to Connect. We have this dope movie called Woodhood. Please look it up. Yeah, it's like 16 minutes. WOODHOOD. And it's a short film just around nature diversity. Me and my kids are in it, which is kind of dope. It got a ton of awards. So honestly, I'm in a place in my life right now that I'm just trying to be really intentional with building community.
Right.
And like, being unapologetic about what the criteria are for you being a part of that community.
I think that leads me to something that we're doing here that you're also a part of, and you helped me kind of navigate the language of doing it. And it's called the Great Wellness Social Club.
Yes, sir.
And the ideology behind it was pretty much that part. And I'm probably going to reiterate this throughout the whole season, talking about the importance of understanding what the word community means. You can't have a community unless you're enlisting being of service in it. Because a lot of us want to unearth something from something, not realizing that you still should be socially responsible for the toiling of the earth, to churning over the soil, to making sure that there's good seeds in the soil, and also telling other people who are like-minded or who can then also be able to hear it, invite them into that said community, because they may be the power that helps the community continue on. So kudos to that, but it's such a necessary conversation. I just think it more about a man of color, the brotherhood part, right? And to land a plane, when we started talking about the social club, the visual that I wanted to give you that I had after our conversation was what we're missing in our community, air quote, is the neighborhood part of it. Because if when I was a kid, I'll never not be comfortable going to Miss Johnson's house and asking her for some sugar from my mama.
Yep, Miss Rivers right upstairs.
Miss Rivers. Right. So if I can go to Miss Johnson, you can go to Miss Rivers. I never forget Miss Hicks, who may Allah be pleased with that woman, because she had shout out to her, because she had the Encyclopedia Britannica.
Oh, so did Miss Rivers.
Bruh, you don't understand, for all of the youth out there, you had to have money to have this encyclopedia. And a lot of people didn't have all 26 letters.
Just had a couple.
Just had like A to B, because you were on a payment schedule to get it. So the point is that we needed each other. We were okay with knowing that we needed each other, though.
But I don't know, man. It's such a different world, dude. Like, and not even, for those that need data, like objectively, like look at the research. Like, this has been like the loneliest decade
for sure
in a really long time, right? And some of it has been intentional, right? The phonification of our lives creates an inherent, like, just look at the visual. You're literally narrowing your entire existence into this one thing, right? Which creates a lot of loneliness, and I'm not a complete social media hater, right? But like, the disconnect that a lot of folks feel from that space that's supposed to be a social space, right? Then you add the pandemic where literally being outside and being around people was going to kill you.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we can't ignore that those things are going to have a significant and long-lasting impact on our social behavior.
Yeah.
Right? And then we're complaining about, why these kids don't know how to engage with adults, right? Why there's so much tension, especially living in New York, right? There's so much tension when we're on the subway and we're in the streets. It's because people are hurting, people are lonely, and are still dealing with trauma that they haven't unpacked. If you are a human living in this country, living in the world, honestly, for the last 4 years, you've been suffering for trauma for the last 4 years, like objectively. Even if you did well financially during the pandemic,
that doesn't even matter.
That doesn't take away the fact that you knew the impact that what was happening in the world was having. And like, again, we can do the research. I'll send some articles, right? Like, biologically, we can't ignore the fact that like that's all had an impact, and we're not where's the mental health crisis?
It's
right?
subjective at this point.
Forget all this other stuff. Yeah. We're hurting.
Yeah.
And we're lonely.
And we don't feel comfortable talking about it because a lot of people don't feel like they're important. Well, a
lot of people are made to feel like they're not important.
Thank you for the correction. The other part of it is that this is something that I had to say with my son. I said, the difference between your generation and mine, I said, it's actually our fault. And
Absolutely.
he goes, what do you mean? I said, a lot of times the older people will look at the younger people and blame them for doing things that they were never taught how to manage and navigate.
That part.
I said, however, though, you specifically do not have that excuse.
Oh, neither do my sons who are in the other room and are here all the time. Like, they're not out in the streets doing right, but they know what they need to pay attention to.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Right,
that's something that I feel like is such an important part because our young men are, I would say, their brains and their feelings are being attacked.
Their entire identity is being attacked.
The part that makes it harder for me to watch some of them is that I have conversations with my son differently than I did before, and because of me looking at this is a statement in Islam that your family deserves your charity before outside does.
That's true.
So there's a story of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam where he was a member of the congregation came to talk to him about his son taking something. So he brings his son and he goes, we walked past a begging man and I gave him some money and my son went back behind me and took the money back from the beggar. What kind of kid is this? And the prophet goes, surely your son deserves a charity before a stranger does. So it made me stop giving so much because as a therapist, it's just a constant outpouring and pouring into people, which also helps me. But then I had to self-correct and say, okay, how much of that time am I giving to Gabriel? Right? Or just the sensitivity to it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, when you're doing something, remember, I only want you to benefit from life. I don't want you to have to struggle. You have to decide to listen to people who've done it better.
That's true.
With more scarring. I said, so you can be able to sit somewhere without the same scar, but with the perception. And it's harder for them to hear when so many things are grabbing for their attention, and so many things that, like he was trying to give me a quote from one of the podcasts where these hosts tell you everything about relationships. Right?
That's fun.
And I said, well, let me ask you this. If you listen to the people who are giving you relationship advice who are not married, who have not survived marriage, who have not been divorced and then got remarried and don't have one shred of gray hair.
This is a very, very specific criteria. So.
And I said, because the grandmas used to give us lessons. The grandpas used to give us lessons. The uncles, we all got an uncle who's like, yo, let me tell you something.
Or a TT.
Definitely.
TTs be out here.
And it was usually in that part of the family structure, I believe, and just getting back to the point about what melanated medicine is based upon, the healing of a social community helps you stop going crazy. The protection of people who love you, for you, not because of what you do or what you have access to. Just because you're a part of this tribe, and we keep this tribe as a sacred space, and I'm going to tell you good, bad, and indifferent, because there's no celebratory praise than when you see melanated people at a graduation.
Amen.
There is nothing more proud to watch.
Tell CJ, I'm embarrassing you, bro.
Yeah, man.
Expect it. I'm wearing a whole suit with your face on it.
Wow. I will not do that to you, although my son is a grown man. But the part that I do like to do, which is slightly embarrassing for him, not for me, is that as him being a 27-year-old man, own apartment, car, all the things, I will grab him, lift him up, and kiss him right on his face. And he was like, "Come on, Dad." I said, "If you think you can beat me, stop me."
That part.
And he was like, and I definitely do that for my own ego too, because I was like, he goes, "But you're getting old." I said, "The one thing you don't lose when you get old is power."
Mm-hmm. That uppercut goes nowhere.
I kid you not. I said, that kidney punch is still going to hurt, baby. But of course, it's all in jest. I want to say that in jest. But it's just an important thing for me to mention about that part about our community part. We need, and your community, and please correct me if you feel like I'm wrong with this. I feel like our communities are only one level. People who may be a peer. I think your community social interactions have to have some older and younger people in it. That sandwiching of the people around you helps surfacely correct where your brain would be, because you're getting information from two different polar opposites. And I think it's important for people to know that having them around, like when your sons are around, or when our other friends' sons and daughters are around, we need to have them sometimes just to remember our youth as a reminder. Because if we are looking at our children, and I'm talking about honorary nephews as well, they're the reminder that we don't die. They're the reminder that if we implant good energy into these seeds, that what we're trying to grow has the opportunity to continue.
That's right.
And the term that I heard in the TV show that I watched, if you ever, I'll say it because it's really a good show. You ever saw, yeah, of course, I don't remember the name of it.
How you going to build up the show?
Give me a second. I'm old, man.
You know we're recording, right?
Yeah, I do. I know. That's my show. Anyway, I'll get back to it. It'll come to me later. But the point that somebody said in the show, I was really trying to remember what it was. Silo. That's it. Shout out to my producers, who acknowledged that. But there was a clip when you saw somebody sitting under a tree, right? And the older gentleman in the show said something that was so hard. He goes, "Remember, the people who planted that tree will never sit under it."
That's real. I wanna make two quick points off of stuff that you said. So I think the first one was this whole idea of legacy, right? And instilling in our kids sort of that like being able to look at our kid and be like, you know what, I'm good.
Yeah.
So this happened to me, I want to say about 2 years ago. I hate flying. Like hate.
We.
Okay. Hate, right?
My passport does not prove it, but yeah.
Same. I mean, I'm going to get there. I'm not going to be happy, but I'm going to get there. I'm not saying in this raggedy. You know what? I'm not trying to get kicked out.
No, it's not raggedy.
What's not raggedy? This country?
We're trying to avoid that point.
Come on now. That's fine.
It is what it has been. It's just being more exposed.
So it's raggedier?
It's been raggedy. I just think that it just has more video and HD and more people talking about it.
That's not even what we're talking about. So going back to the second land just real quick. I had a moment on a plane, again, hate flying, where it was some really bad turbulence. And I literally had...
Were you going west?
I don't know.
You should remember that.
I don't want to remember it.
Fair
enough. It was a terrible flight. But my point being, and this is what changed flying for me. I had a moment where I was like, if this is the moment, I've done my job. Like those two are ready. And at 15 and 17, I can say that. Like,
you deserve an air on for that. That was hard.
I had one of the dopest political conversations I've had with anyone. And I said anyone with my 15-year-old. Right? Like being in a place where I'm seeing, those seeds legit, right? Kind of expressing themselves in their own way, but still
Still
the thing
carrying
is
the
still
torch.
the thing is still gonna be the thing, right? And
Yeah.
it's funny because like I've never had to be the type of parent that my mother was with me with my kids,
Okay.
but they've seen it.
Which is important.
They've seen Bronx Los with some other kids on these camping trips, and it's funny because they're like, oh, "Okay, cool. We're gonna mind our business and continue to do what we're doing.
Head down, keep going forward. Yeah.
I don't want that smoke.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, it's making sure that like we're creating a certain level of comfort with our kids and by extension our community.
Yeah.
By being genuine and having expectations. Right? Like a lot of us don't have elders.
And that's kind of the
I
point.
talked
yeah.
about this
Yeah.
the other day. Like, I don't know that, like, I've tried to create, like, a group of elders. You know what I mean? That, like,
Is that young elder?
Young elders,
Okay.
yeah, sorry.
Okay. Thank you.
Like, a group of young elders that, like, has become my community, right?
Sure.
Because I got a bunch of old heads that are hella inappropriate on my phone right now. So no one
Right.
check my phone because it'll be problematic. But for me, that's what a lot of us are missing. Like I honestly don't have anyone that's significantly older to me that I can go to for advice.
That is but that's kind of the point that I was saying too about the planting of the tree and never
Amen.
being sitting under it, because the grandparent now, by all extents and purposes, I could be a grandfather right now, and I had a couple of my friends who I grew up with are grandfathers, and it's hilarious when I tease them and I'll like, "Yo, what's up, Pop?" And you could see the dread.
Pop is on the gram though.
Yeah, but this is the point that I'm saying is like
Pop is in these streets.
there was a point that I saw, and I know he's in the middle of this, but Nelly had said something on a TV show that I thought was hilarious. He goes, the difference is between our parents' generation and ours is that our kids are growing up watching us. We did not grow up watching what our parents did all the time.
At a heightened level
Yeah.
of watching what your parents are doing.
He goes, so now if you think about the like from a stylized perspective, now our children are wearing the shoes that we popularized, and they never watched Mike play. We watched him in real time with the cement threes on.
Bro, you know how mad I am that I got CJ the Miles Morales J's? He's worn those hoes once. I almost kicked him out. Luckily, I already had my own pair.
Fair.
But I almost kicked that boy out of my house. What?
But again, the connection to something is not the same, right?
If anybody want a size 10 Air Jordan, holla at me in the chat.
We have a chat. Leave a comment. There you go. All right.
That's a chat.
I know. Also fair. That's fair. Okay. This stay on point here.
So, do we want to plug what's happening on?
No, we're not going to plug. We're going to talk about it. See what I did there? Just to bother him. This is just to bother him. By all means, please tell the people what's happening, man. Come on, man.
A thing is happening next Sunday.
Come on, man. Tell them what it is.
The 15th, the 16th?
Yeah. Hold on. Let's get that applause. Tell the people what's happening on the 15th of February. Is it the 15th or the 16th?
See, that's why I was trying to figure it
It's
out
the
before you
16th. It's the
started
16th.
doing air horns and...
Hold on. It's the 16th. Air horn. Okay. Sorry.
See, this is why we can't have nice things. February 16th,
February
y'all,
16th.
at 3 p.m. here at Great Wellness. We are having our first movement-focused melanated medicine meetup. It's going to be conversation around the body and wellness,
Yep.
and sort of seeing your body from the ground up. We're also going to have an amazing level 3 animal flow coach,
Tell 'em.
Larry, in here, just helping the people understand how to move their bodies in really fun and different ways. And then we're going to chop it up after and have some intentional conversations around
Name the other person who's also going to be here with us.
Joshua Holland.
Joshua Holland.
Yes, celebrity trainer.
And it's amazing how you meet and know people, because I got a text message last night, and from what my little brother and work with Jordan, who's in Montenegro. He goes, how did I look at a flyer on somebody sent me a flyer and I see all my people in it and I'm not involved? And I was like, I like that you're having this FOMO part, because he was just excited to see all the brothers who he considered brothers working together.
That's dope. I mean,
So,
look,
yeah.
there's already a Florida and DC version pending for this. I'm not playing in 2025.
These are necessary conversations that we need to know how not just to move the body, but move the mind. We have to, and then also have the community to talk about the parts that we don't really understand. Because comprehension and communication are not the same thing.
At all.
So we need to understand how and why we're moving our body rather than just the aesthetic aspect of what it is. Can you just move it because this thing is a living organism that requires movement for it to stay in space? Just that. Something as simple like that. So I'm happy that we're being able to start a text conversation that started with you.
Yeah.
And then brothers just jumped in.
I mean, even before that, it was literally Larry did an Anima Flow session at the space that we both work in, and literally after it, I was like, so I have the space, I know this dude, how do we connect Josh, how do we, and that became the thread, and that became what's happening next week. And the fact that like legit, JD and Fraud, it was like, when are y'all bringing it down here?
Fact.
A lot of the fellows that I work with are DC based, and I've been trying to figure out a social event for them. So this might be a dope kind of way to kind of bring those two worlds together. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. Like, I'm trying to bring all the communities, these dope communities I'm a part of, I'm trying to bring them together in very functional ways. And for me, having this space that's inherently meant for that
that's
makes
exactly
it
what
so
this
much
is for.
easier.
As I like to say, when you're here, you're home. Okay. And once again, Carlos, I just want to say thank you. Please let the people know where they can find you, know what you're doing, or website or whatever. So that way, before we end the show, they know if they want to engage with more conversation, or they may have options for other community possibilities that they can reach out to you directly.
Biggest place right now, because honestly, I'm protecting my peace, so I'm not really on social. You can find me on LinkedIn, Carlos Davila. We're also wait until about next week, but my website will be up and running, doseglobal.org.
As DOSE.
doseglobal.org. And that's where everything Carlos related is going to be living. Oh, yeah, that's the logo right there. Everything Carlos related is going to be living there in the next couple of weeks. So if you're looking for personal training, if you're looking for nutrition, if you're looking for executive coaching, or you're looking for the whole Dose of Los package, which has all of that, holler at me.
I appreciate you. I just want to say once again, thank you for being here. We will continue the conversation, but you're going to have to like, subscribe, share, comment, give us some love, and recognize that we're here for you. So peace to the kings and queens. I want to thank you for your time, your attention, your love, and your care. All right. Talk to you soon.
Later.
Hold on. There we go. Hey. You better start dancing, man. This beat is dope. Shout out, Mr. Butler. Hey.